We have gotten a break in the heat for the first time in many weeks, and it is so refreshing to be out here. And it's mid 80s, actually low 80s right now. It's amazing. We got a late start in the garden just because of the heat. We had, 5 weeks of 80s? No, upper 90s without a break. So nothing would grow. There was not a drop of rain. It was just very, very dry all of the end of June and July. This weekend, for the first time, it's actually just absolutely pleasant weather. Our garden is kicking butt. Our tomatoes plants are finally doing amazing. So we got tomatoes everywhere. Loaded plants. Hey turkey. Hey turkey. And we got okra. We love us some okra. And the beauty, look at those flowers, how pretty. This is the part you eat, right there. So, the dry and hot summer so far has really hurt us. All our berry plants, our blueberries, blackberries, our fruit trees, the berries and the flowers completely burned, so we're not gonna have any harvest of that this year. So that, one weather event can totally knock out the food production, which is very scary. Farmers that are collecting hay off their pastures to feed their animals through the winter. I've heard story after story of friends that we see on a weekly basis that have a pasture that yields 10 rolls of hay that are going to get 1 roll of hay for that pasture. That is very scary. Why is it scary? Because if you can't feed your animals, the cost of that food becomes astronomically more expensive. So if you would get 10 rolls of hay out of one pasture and now you only get 1, that 1 roll of hay is going to cost you significantly higher, and there's going to be a scarcity of hay. Our pastures are finally doing better because it's been raining. It's actually raining right now. So in the middle of July, we were thinking we might have to go buy hay. And in the summer, in the growing season where your pastures are supposed to be feeding your animals, if you can't feed your animals with your pastures in the middle of July, you're in trouble. Everything turned back green after about 2 weeks of some rain, on and off rain, and the grass is growing again. But to make up that difference of 6 weeks of basically no growth, it'll have to rain and be decent weather for a couple weeks to be able to, at least by the end of the summer, make up the difference, which we're not going to catch up. So pray for the men and women that are actually growing food for the rest of the nation, because at least in this part of the country, it's been bad. So yeah, just pray for the people that are actually growing food, because the weather conditions have been really interesting this summer. So let me show you what we're doing. There's a section of forest in the back corner, all the way down there. It's very hard to reach because I have a water spring that flows down the gully, and that's really hard to maintain. Our goats keep the weeds down. Our goats keep the brambles down. We cut some wood down. We cut some branches down. We're going to try to access it today with the tractor and remove some fence so we can repair the fence. There's a section of about 230 feet of fence I have to cut down, remove the old fence so that I can put new fencing down. And we are going to move our pig setup, which was right here. We've let the grass grow because the time we get new pigs, they're gonna go in there, knock the grass down, and then we're gonna move them down into that gully. Because in the heat, having pigs 100 feet from the house, it's just not a good idea. It smells pretty bad. That's why I don't grow pigs. I don't raise pigs in the summer months. And we do from the fall through the winter, and then in the late winter to the beginning of, or to the middle of the spring. So the heat factor doesn't make the smell factor get out of hand. So let's start up this tractor. That's a 3 series tractor, about 32 horsepower. Beautiful tractor. It works amazing for our size little homestead. It is absolutely stunningly strong and very, very practical. So we're gonna take this bad boy down there and see if we can get stuff moved up. I'm gonna take some gloves and get this strap. Can't find my chain. I have a chain that's very, very practical, but I don't find it right now because I have been busy with projects and I have just lost track of where I put that chain last. So it'll show up. It's probably in my barn, in my shop somewhere. But let's start this bad boy and see what we do today. Beautiful sound. All right. I'm gonna have to jump in and out. I don't have anything to hold my phone yet. Once I figure that out, I'll try to set up the videos I make of the homestead a little bit more complete, so you can see the whole step of how I get the fences and how I do things. But for now, I'm gonna have to just pause and restart the video once I get to the next step. I have animals in the pasture that I have to be careful how they get out when I open the fence to go through the fence and stuff like that. So I don't have a spotter right now, so I'm gonna try to figure it out. I'll take it through. I'll probably start videoing again once I go all the way back. So this whole section back here, I kind of closed it off. I initially thought I would leave it as a deer sanctuary and put a feed plot with a feeder, but I just need to find proper hunting grounds and not worry about this spot because it's not realistic for me to get deer long term in this corner. So I'm just gonna have to find, there's tons of deer up in these woods, and there's actually a really nice trail. Here you go. I don't know if you can see it. There's a game trail. They go through here and they walk through here. You see it? Right through here every day. I don't know how they get through because I fenced it up that way. So that's my property line going all the way up the hill. So my property line, you see where my dog is right back there? That's the property back corner. So this whole section, I got a creek. Sorry about I have a creek that runs through here. It's just about dry right now, but I got a creek that runs through here. So I have that, my horse pasture ends right there. This section I have temporarily fenced through the front, and this section I'm not using for now. So I'm gonna build my pig set up here with electric fencing, but I need to make sure my perimeter of my property is fenced in. So my decent goat-proof fence ends right here. So from here to that back corner is probably 100 feet. I need to rip out all this barbed wire and old fencing. And then from that corner up to that big tree right there, I have to put the final piece of perimeter fencing. And then we can do our full setup in here and not have to worry about things getting outside of our perimeter. This is our paradise. Way up there up the hill, you see our house, part of the red barn, our goats. This back corner is really the last piece of my property that I have to tame. So I'm taming. A couple months ago, we did from here, from this big oak tree, I think it's an oak tree, maybe it's not, all the way up to the horse pasture, we connected that fence. But we stopped there and then we ran barbed wire this way, or repaired the barbed wire that was there for the horses. And we've had horses up in this lower section right up to these trees. This little corner, I'm gonna guess it's maybe, I don't know, 10,000 square feet, maybe a quarter of an acre, maybe a third, something like that. I have not been able to get to. I put a little section of fence right across here so that that pasture can keep in goats. This is an ideal spot for goats because there's a lot of leafage, of foliage, which the goats love. But if you can see here, this fencing is old and has been a collection of systems. It'll keep a horse or a donkey in, but it will not keep a goat in. So all of this, I'm going to try to rip it all up and then clean it, cut some of the smaller brush down, and then put goat fencing. Goat fence will keep everything from a goat up. So it'll keep chickens, actually. It'll keep chickens, smaller animals, goats, and everything up. And then I'm going to plan on putting one wire of hog fence, hog wire actually, on the very low section. So about a foot from the ground, I'll run a hog wire of a very hot electric wiring, and hopefully it'll keep hogs or pigs, and they will eat up all of the smaller stuff, and then I can keep rotating goats and pigs through here. The good thing about pigs is they don't live on our farm long term. They go for, we buy them at about 2 months, maybe 3 months old, and then they go into freezer camp, and then we have 6 months till the next batch of pigs, or maybe 4 or 5 months. So we can get the pigs on here, they'll root it up, clear it, and turn this into pasture. I'm going to cut a few of these big branches because the sun right now is on that side. So if we cut some of these branches, make a window, we'll get more sunlight here. And once this vegetation is knocked down, then it'll turn into more of a pasture kind of green. So that's the strategy. We'll see over the next couple months. Pay attention to the videos. We might have more posted of how we turn the last, I guess, half an acre, maybe third of an acre, into usable land for our farm, Homestead. Hey, Trooper, say hi, bud. He's my companion. He's always around me when I'm out working. Sit. Trooper. Trooper, sit. Good dog. Good dog. Trooper, go. All right, let's see how the folks like wire fencing. Yeah, they'll work. See, it wasn't very strong in the first place. Now I gotta be careful with the barbed wire, because that will pop a tire. That took about 20 feet off in what? 20 seconds? All right, well, now let's go on to the next spot. And then if we can make a bundle, what I'll do is I'll toss it in the fire and I'll burn all those posts off. And then with a magnet, I have a big rare earth magnet that I use for collecting nails on construction sites. That will pick up any of the fence staples. So we put the forks almost into the ground. It's very mulchy ground. Right past it, then I curl up. I curl it up and I go up to kind of make a hook. And then we just go backwards. See, it should pull everything off. Oh, that's a lot of tension. You see my tractor back wheel came off the ground. So that's when you know you gotta lower your bucket a little bit. You don't want to die doing this, Tim. All right. So that got removed. That's about what, 50 feet in 1 minute. You know, this piece of equipment is a huge blessing. It's very expensive. You know, it was a one-time investment. We saved up money for a tractor. We bought an old tractor. You might remember the Blue Horse. It was a Ford model old tractor. But I'm not a mechanic, so when things go wrong, then you're without a tractor for like 3 months, and you have to pay thousands of dollars to somebody else to fix your tractor. So we sold that after we repaired it a couple times and didn't have the patience for it. And we went and bought a new one. It's a smaller one than the old one, but it's actually a whole lot stronger because the hydraulics and mechanics and stuff have so improved over the last, who knows how many years, at least what matters. What matters to me is that the tractor works at all times. So I have no time to be messing with old equipment. I just don't have the know-how to fix mechanicals. So I got a small little section. I need both hands. So you kind of get the picture. We're pulling up all the old stuff, then I'll clean it up and put a new fence. So what you gotta do is just muscles and elbow sweat. Is elbow sweat an American thing? It is, I think, in some countries. I might be wrong. Alright, so what I'm doing, I pulled this up with the tractor. There's all kind of thistles, probably poison ivy through here too. I'm trying to roll it until I have a bundle big enough to push with the tractor into the fire pit. It's dangerous because it's all barbed wire and you can get cut. Some things can only be done the hard way. And that is labor. Physical sweat. At least we got gloves on, boots. I'm missing a pair of pliers and like a chainsaw to cut up some of the smaller stuff, so I'm gonna go get my UTV.